Hey partner, I'm going to tell you about the real life automation case I implemented in logistics lately. I believe the pattern will be more than helpful for you in your project, so let's just start. As you know, my clients are commodity traders and we make ERP for them. So one day, my client from Moldova called me to discuss their reports and BI we were preparing for him. He complained that he just lost another logistics manager within the same month. So the problem wasn't their people, it was their process. Process that was all manual, like phone calls, shitty photos from the drivers, and spreadsheets that looked like they were about to crash in any second. The process was pretty simple, and the driver should receive a route instructions, accept it, then drive a truck, discharge, report the weight. So that's simple. So this weight is pretty important because the whole process depends on it, preparation of many documents, invoices, etc. So, but the problem is these drivers, they are just normal people and they doesn't care much about the quality of the photos and documents. So they usually are a bit inaccurate with the data. If the information is incorrect, it creates a huge headache. And incorrect weight means incorrect invoice. If they underbill, they lose money. Simple as that. If they overbill, the client calls up, annoyed, and their accounting team has to waste hours fixing it all. So the coordination manager have to pull it all together somehow, avoid mistakes, and load is heavy, especially when the season is high. So you probably know what I said to him. Man, just relax, we will build a bot for that. And we did. A simple bot that plugs right into our system and lives inside an app that drivers now use every single day. A bot that can understand a voice message and read information from their photos. So, what's the one app they all have? You probably know the answer. The one they already have to send pictures to their family and chat with their buddies. So, it's a Telegram, of course. Since all the information about the driver and the route is already in the database, the coordination manager simply changes the status of the route to assign it to the driver. So, like this, and ready to depart. So the bot sends a perfectly formatted message to the driver with all the details of the route, and at the bottom there are two simple buttons: a green check mark for accept and decline. The driver taps one, the manager gets instant notification back, like this. So the manager gets an instant notification back, and the status was changed on accepted now. Then the driver, right after the delivery, could just tap and hold a button in Telegram and say something like that. Just dropped 24 and a half tons. On the backend, our bot would spring into action. It would grab this voice note and set it to a service to turn the audio to the text and then figure out what it means. It would find the weight, 24 and a half tons, and the proper road. So after the system recorded the tonnage, we can see it here as a record in the database. So we have volume received and we have receiving date, which is now, and that's it. So if it's a photo, it will grab the photo from the delivery slip. Then it would use something called optical character recognition, or OCR, and read the text right off the image, double checking all the details using AI. And now we have our record here as well. So that's the journey, and we did it not with some massive expensive new software, but with a clever N8N workflow with a few agents talking to an app that was already on everyone's phone. It's simple as that. So for me, this project was a huge reminder that sometimes the best solutions don't have to be the most complicated. It's about stepping back, really understanding the human side of the problem, and then finding the way how to fix it. So the goal was never just to write some code, it was to make our clients' lives easier and their business stronger. If you thought this was pretty cool and you're into some practical projects that have real impact, please hit the subscribe button. We are always building something new and have a lot more stories than like this. So for those of you who wants to see how it works under the hood, I've cleaned up the workflow for general usage and make it available for download. The link is down in the description, so feel free to take it, learn from it, or even use it for your own projects. Now let's see what's under the hood. First of all, we're gonna see the notification bot. We have here a trigger which gonna be launched at a certain time, but now for the testing purposes I just have this execute workflow trigger. So let me briefly describe the general idea behind the notification bot. It's pretty easy. So first we have to do is we have to search the available routes, and to do that we simply retrieve the information from the routes table with some certain status which is ready to depart, right? After that, if we have different roads, we have to loop over them, but we had only one. So then we have to check the user, so to make sure the driver from the telegram equals to the driver appointed in the road here, this Carlos Gonzalez. Then, if user does not exist, we have to notify that I'm sorry, it's something wrong. And if it does, we have to prepare fields for a response. So for that, I'm using set fields node, where we just simply store the essential fields we're gonna send notification with from our database. It's simple as that. After that, we prepare the markdown format to be to be readable in the Telegram, and send notification with keyboard with two buttons here. Also, we have a callback here, which means that when user will press it, we will read it in the later stages to understand that user pressed certain buttons. So that's why we need callback data here. So the next board is much more complicated, but don't worry, I will explain how it works. So this workflow should be triggered by some Telegram event. So it can be either a message, which can be voice or image or just simple text, or a callback query, for example, when user presses some button like accept or decline. After that, we keep key values. I really like this approach because it allows us to call the particular node all the time in the later stages of the workflow, and it's much more easier. So here it's a simple code. You can use it as well in order to get chat ID, username, a file ID in both cases, if it is a picture or if it is a PDF. Then a callback data as well, some metadata of the photos, so a lot of different things, and it ends up in a beautiful JSON here with the chat ID, username, file ID, and everything that I'm needing in the later stages, including, for example, file type. So this code distinguishes whether user sends a voice or a picture or a text straight away. So then we have to check, so this user is authorized to use our bot. For that, we retrieve the data from the drivers table from our database and check if this Telegram username exists there. That's simple. Okay, then the thing we have to do when the user initially launch the bot and presses start, we have to record the chat ID because we're gonna need chat ID to respond to user. So once user presses start, we can record his chat ID here. So we have to record chat ID and assign it to a specific user. Here is our chat ID from the key values part, and we match the user we want to find with the ID from the previous step when we checked the user exists in our database. After that, we have a huge block with switches. Yeah, I know it looks complicated, but we need all of those. Uh, First of all, we have to figure out whether it is a command or a callback or a user input. So we already identified all of those in our key values. So we simply have to check so if it's just some text or a user pressed a callback or he just used some bot command from the menu. That's it. So three items here. So depending on the action, So here can be different menu items. So driver can press start, he can watch his route, and he can press a button to record a wait. So we have to handle all of that. Also, I added an FAQ for the drivers for the production, but here in the test board, I simply forgot about that. So let's test it and let's execute the workflow and let's press start. Okay, so now our workflow is executed. We press start button, so that's how we get here, and we simply respond to the driver with some text and some additional buttons with the callback data the same as we did before. If he presses my rows or my voyages, let's execute this item and press here. So in a while, the user will be getting the information from the database with the information about his roads. Usually, the driver can have only one road at a time, so we simply limit the response from the database to the one entry. So here we simply search by the name of the driver in the database of our roads and with the status accepted. That's it. After that, once again we prepare the fields for output, and then we send user a text with a keyboard where he can decline the road. For example, if he previously accepted it and then he changed his mind, so now he is able to decline the accepted road as well. Okay, the next thing is callback. This switch was triggered the second item, which is a callback, because I pressed my voyages, which is a callback button. So that's why uh, in this switch, the system chose the second path, and that's how we end up here at the callback items, where we have different buttons a user can press in the bot. Report wait, my rows, accept or decline. So it's pretty simple. If he presses accept or decline, we perform the same operation. We answer user that everything is all right. Then we search routes that is ready to depart by this particular driver, and then we change status to accept. The same for the client. All right, so now the most interesting part is user input. So this time I'm gonna simply write it by my hands, and let's use comma here, like this, and execute workflow. So as you can see, we have here a dot instead of the comma. It's not a coincidence. But before that, before diving into that, let's see that we have three branches here: one for a voice, one for a text, and one for a photos and the documents. I like this approach because it's pretty clean. As you can see, it's only okay. It's four switches, but the whole action is happening here in the key values. So we simply play with the properties that we have here at the second stage, and we define whether it is a photo or a file or a text, etc., etc. So I like this approach because it's very clean. So the only thing you have to do is just to check the one property: file type, file type, file type. It can be text or photo or a voice. That's it, without all the heavy coding here, some regular expressions and other things. So you have all the code here in one node. So if it's a voice, we download the voice as a file here from this telegram. Then we use OpenAI transcribe recording node, and we simply feed this voice here. So if it's a text, we simply have a field node here with this text. And if it's a document, we have to download the document. We have to run it through some optical recognition technology. Um, Here, I already did it in my previous video, so if you would like to know more, you can just watch it. And that's the beautiful thing about all these workflows and N8N. So I can reuse different bunches of the code or different nodes or different patterns from one workflows to the other workflows. So, and if it works there, it's gonna work here, and so I really like this. So I really have these reusable components I can build with. And after that, I have an AI agent as my moderator because he can simply send some message like I discharged 24 and 3 tons and I don't need this text part. So, and the same can be here in the voice, the same can be here in the text, and the same can be here at the image because there are plenty of different numbers there and I need only volume. That's why I have here AI agent that does all the job, and his task is simply to receive text, some text from the voice, from the text, from the from the voice, from the image, and simply output the only volume number. That's it. Here I'm using structured output parser, which helped me to structure the output in the way I like. So here I simply have one JSON with one property, which is volume, and that's how I get a number all the time. After that, I have to feed this number to my database. I'm using set fields node, and here I have this regular expression which help me to replace commas, if any, on dots. That's it. After that, I simply search rows, the same node with the same parameters, and after that I update the volume and send two responses. That's it. So what I wanted to say at the end, it's not a rocket science, guys. So I built it by these hands without really knowing much about technical part, and you can do it too. The hardest part here is to figure out the problem and to talk to customer to identify the real need and the real workflow on how they're going to use the solution. So wireframing and drawing the maps, the journey of the users, it's more essential and more complicated than this one. So this technical part now with the modern technology is that simple. The only thing you have to do is just a little practice. So that's why I'm sharing this workflow. You can simply import this workflow to your N8N and play with it, because you cannot learn anything without the practice. So I highly recommend you to start using this for your business, and you will see how beneficial it can be. So you can solve customer problems really fast and in efficient way. Who cares what technology is behind? The only thing that which matters is how do you solve the problem of the user, and whether he is gonna pay you for that, and whether your product will benefit from that. That's it. So don't listen to all the people that are saying that it's not serious, okay, it's not for the production. I agree that it's not that simple that you simply press a button and everything is successfully deployed to your client. So obviously you have to think about the security, you have to think about error handling, a lot of different things. I'm gonna cover this topic a bit later, what we are using for the production versions of these workflows. But for the quick prototyping, for the MVP, to show your clients and to understand his needs and whether he gonna use something or not, whether he likes it or not, is just perfect. Once you get used to these tools, you will be able to reuse all these components. As you can see in my previous workflow, in this workflow I reused like 60% or 70% of what I've done before. So, and as many workflows as you will be doing, as easier it's gonna be for you. So I will be glad if you find this helpful. If you have any questions, write a comment or text me. You can reach me in Telegram as well. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.